Greetings, beloved, and welcome to this edition of Sitting with the Sister Minister. I am Seretta McKnight, and I am just excited and delighted to be joining you on this particular day as we have in studio one of my favorite people on the face of the planet, educator extraordinaire. Let me put it like that. I'd like for you all to join me in welcoming our good friend and brother, Dr. Kenneth Saunders, I want to get this right now, acting president of Nassau Community College.
That is correct.
Wonderful. I'm sorry I don't have my audience here with me. But next time. Kenneth, welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
I am excited and delighted to have you here. I need for you to share with us how long have you been over at Nassau Community College, and what are the functions that you have inherited as acting president of one of the largest community colleges in the state, in the country, and certainly in the state of New York?
Well, we're definitely the largest single campus community college in the state of New York. Mm-hmm. I've been at Nassau Community College for, I would say, 17 years now, going on 18 years actually.
Wow.
I came to Nassau Community College in 1999 as the Vice President for Academic Student Services.
Okay.
Prior to that, I had been at the State University at Old Westbury, where I was serving as the Vice President for Student Services.
Okay.
And throughout my 17-year tenure at Nassau Community College, I've been fortunate enough to move through the administrative ranks, having responsibility for a sundry of areas.
Okay, you talk about, in other words, before we can talk about you as acting president, you have been a member of the Nassau Community College family for an extensive amount of time.
Yes, I have.
And so you basically not only had relationship with young people, with students, but faculty as well, administration.
Absolutely. I've had a working relationship with virtually every contingency on campus or constituency on campus.
Well, I know that we have heard of some of the tremendous work that you have done at Nassau prior to ascending to the role of acting president. And just for our audience on today, how long have you served in the capacity of acting president?
It has been 3 years now. 3 years this month.
That you've been acting?
That I've been serving as the acting president at Nassau Community College.
So I'm wondering what the issue is. Where's the appointment? We'll talk about that in a minute. So during your 3-year tenure in the CEO position, if you will, you have done a number of marvelous things. One of the things that had attracted us was the comment you made. You recall when the community colleges were coming under attack because of the so-called having to, the young people coming in had to do catch-up remedial work, is
Yes.
it? And you made a statement that was so poignant that I wish you would share it with our viewers, whereas most folk were taking the position, most educators, or some of those in higher ed, were taking the position that, well, this is really a setback when we have to do remedial instruction. Give us your take on that.
Well, I believe that what we have to recognize is that we have to first recognize the population that we're dealing with.
Yes.
And we embrace and accept and begin the work where the students are, not where we hope them to be, but where they come to us. And it's our challenge, it's our task, and it's our mission to engage the students from wherever they are and help them to build the essential skills that they need to be prepared to move on, either to a 4-year institution or to move into the workforce. That transformative process is one that is only successful when you accept the reality of who your students are and move from that point forward.
And that fascinated me when I had the opportunity to hear you so express that, because if you recall, when we had chatted, I said to you, well, why in the world would you think, and you indicated that every child is important, and every child deserves an opportunity to participate in that transformative process.
Absolutely.
As you call it. I call it the TP, transformative process. So now let's talk about the role as president, as acting president, as the quote unquote title suggests. You first were appointed as the officer in charge.
Yes.
Then my researchers tell me that you ascended from that position to acting president?
That's correct.
Which is where you are currently and where you've been for the past 3 years.
Yes.
There has been a search.
There has been 2 searches.
2 searches, and you were finalists.
I'm the finalist in the second search. The first search was canceled by the Chancellor of the State University of New York.
Okay, because there's a relationship there. I need for you to understand, beloved, the relationship between our local community college, Nassau Community College, and the State University of New York.
Yes.
Which is the governing...
It's the umbrella administrative organizations for all of the colleges within the State University of New York system. There are 64 schools and colleges within the State University system. 30 of them are community colleges. So we're dispersed throughout all of New York. The intent with the development of the SUNY system was to make available to the community of New York an educational opportunity within 10 or 15 miles. So there was this distribution of educational system, 4-year institutions, 2-year institutions, research institutions that allowed the community to access the educational system at an affordable level.
Absolutely. And so that being the case, the SUNY board, the umbrella organization, canceled the first search.
Yes, it was the chancellor of that umbrella organization who, after reviewing all of the issues that had been brought before her, decided that that search should be canceled and a new one initiated.
And in that new search that was initiated, you were one of 2 finalists?
Yes, I am.
Now, I need for you to follow the conversation, beloved. I know you all are, because I know you are an intelligent audience. Here's the deal. 2 searches conducted for a permanent president of Nassau Community College. The first search was canceled by the Chancellor of the State University of New York system, which is the umbrella governing organization, or umbrella administrative organization, excuse me. And then a second search was initiated where Dr. Kenneth Saunders, who has been serving for the past 3 years, as the acting president, was one of the finalists. However, what happened?
Well, what is necessary to confirm a candidate for president in the SUNY system is that you have to have the supermajority of the board.
Okay.
And there are 10 members on the board for Nassau Community College.
Okay.
So to be confirmed for presidency, you would need to accrue 6 of those 10 votes. When we got to the final process, and when I say when we got to the final process, that's after having gone through several interviews with the selection committee, having had campus interviews. Then the finalists are recommended to the Board of Trustees for an interview to make a final determination as to who would be the candidate of choice. It was in that process that I received 5 of the 9 votes for consideration, 4 against me. So while I was the majority in terms of the board,
You needed one.
I needed 1 more. Now, regrettably, there was a vacancy that had been vacant on the Board of Trustees for almost 2 years.
Okay.
And it's my belief that the board member, Mary Adams, who was not able to participate because of illness, would have voted in my favor.
I believe Mary Adams would have. Let me interject that, beloved. I know Mrs. Adams for many years. As a matter of fact, she's known me since I was a young girl. And so certainly her record speaks for itself. And I would say that, yes, if she were not incapacitated, I believe she would. But I digress. Go ahead.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I have always had a very strong and positive working relationship with Mary Adams.
Yes.
And it was brought to my attention no more than a month ago that she had submitted a letter to the Board of Trustees speaking to the positive working relationship that we have shared, and that she wanted to just articulate her support for me in the presidency.
That's the type of fearless leader that even in her own, dealing with her own issues, that she still took the time out because she just believes so firmly.
Yes.
Now, I need our listening family to understand that the belief in your capabilities as the president, because I'm going to come back to you, beloved, and raise the same question that you all have asked me on radio, and we're going to address it, or at least attempt to, when the dialogue ensued about why Dr. Saunders is not the president. Here you hear that he needs 6 votes. He had 5 out of the 6 necessary out of the total of 10. So 10 board members, 1 trustee incapacitated, but you still needed 6 of 10 in order to be confirmed. And then with respect to that, Dr. Saunders, and we're talking about the fact that Mrs. Adams wrote a letter on your behalf expressing the excellent working relationship that you all have had. And what I was sharing, it did not happen in a vacuum. She didn't just write it to write it, but it was based on the work.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about the work, because I believe, I'm setting this up, family, because I'm going to share with you what I believe with respect to the whole process. But let's talk about your role as acting president from the time it commenced to the present time. You not only serve as executive and administrator of the college, but you have to work with the Board of Trustees.
Absolutely.
Implement, execute, do those administrative type things. But I understand that you've generated a significant amount of revenue for some programs at the college. Share with us your track record, if you will.
Well, during my tenure, one of the things that we work vigorously to do is to secure resources from the state and the county to help to rebuild or to gentrify the campus itself. During the 3-year tenure that I've been at Nassau Community College, we have accumulated more than $30 million for that effort. We have basically gone through a complete refacing of the physical campus. We have renovated many of the older buildings with the installation of new windows. On the plaza, as you come to the campus, we resurfaced that entire area. We've initiated the development and the construction of what we're referring to as an enrollment student center, which is a facility that is being renovated to integrate all of our enrollment offices, registrar, admissions, financial aid, testing, more like a one-stop shopping configuration. We have secured a facility that is going to be renovated and utilized as a faculty resource development facility where the faculty can come and engage in the advancement of their academic disciplines and study and share with one another. We've acquired another facility from the county that is going to be renovated and used as our new culinary arts program.
Really?
And that is scheduled to open sometime within the next year or so, but our enrollment facility is scheduled to open in the spring of 2016. So we are doing an awful lot. We have generated additional grant dollars, about $11 million in grant dollars to support the academic mission of the institution. So we have done the refacing, the complete refacing of certain labs, that they can be virtual labs as opposed to your traditional science labs. I've been responsible for the completion of our life science facility, which is a $30 million structure that provides a state-of-the-art facility for our nursing students. So our students who are learning in the nursing discipline are learning in an environment that is exactly the same as what they will receive and experience going into the hospitals.
So basically, you have solidified bringing Nassau Community College into the 20th century even further by restoration of buildings, by maintenance, by innovative new ideas and programs that you've just listed. And I know that's not all of it, but we're going to put a pin right there
Okay.
just for a moment. We need to take a break. That was the little bell that you heard, beloved. It's time for us to go to commercial, but we'll be right back. You're listening. No, you're watching. It's taking me a minute. You're watching Sitting with the Sister Minister. We'll be right back. Welcome back, beloved. We are so glad that you are joining our conversation, if you will. We're chatting, sitting with the Sister Minister this afternoon is none other than our beloved brother, Dr. Kenneth Saunders, the acting, oh, that word drives me cray-cray, but the acting president of Nassau Community College. And Kenneth, you were sharing with us the accomplishments, the plethora of initiatives and completed projects that have happened during your tenure as the acting president. Yes. I know folk who can't get that done. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the student population.
Okay.
The young people who are going to be beneficiaries of this whole drive that you've got going on or that's happening under your leadership. Because I had the pleasure of serving on a panel. I was invited by one of your staff folk who had us do a intersections panel, which was, it blew me away. Your facilities, the participation, the faculty, the students, the alum, blew me away. Let's talk a little bit about the students, the student body, the interaction that you are fostering on a continual basis with alums, the engagement, the mentoring of especially some of the very young people that you talked about that you had to meet where they were. Yes. So that bringing them up to speed, if you will, is not a negative, but where you're using it as a positive.
Yes. Well, we have an interesting student body. First is a very diverse student body. We have 22,000 students, so we are larger than many of the municipalities that we're serving when you begin to look at us comparatively speaking. But 51% of our students are students of color, coming from various walks of life, with the Hispanic probably being the fastest growing group within that segment, but a very large African American group, and then a mixture of students from various other areas. That is also complemented with a reasonably strong international population, with students coming and are part of exchange programs or have located on Long Island and have decided to use the community college as their means of establishing an entree into the workforce and into the educational arena.
Really?
So we have the beauty of having all of these students coming together in one place and learning.
A true melting pot.
It's a true melting pot, but it also presents true challenges for teaching. Because what happens is now we have students coming with different learning styles, with different abilities,
Surely.
and being serviced by faculty who are quite capable, because we have more doctoral faculty members than any other two-year institution in the state of New York system. So our faculty is very credentialed. I believe that the challenge is learning how to deal with these new populations and being able to integrate some of the new educational modalities like distance learning, sometimes integrating the face-to-face educational process with a computerized process, and then being able to do that with students who in some instances may have those shortcomings, as I would call them, that need to be managed in such a way that they can master the subject matter. And it becomes engaging the students in the classroom in a way with these diverse abilities, and taking into consideration you also have students with exceptional academic abilities who want to step in and move ahead. So it's a challenge. It's a challenge to manage a mixed environment like that in a way that everybody will benefit from it.
But you're doing it.
We are doing it.
So you and that awesome team there at Nassau Community College. Now, part of that I would imagine I can attribute to your own personal growth, your own personal educational journey.
Yes.
I read somewhere that you have studied at Harvard, that you're a product of Penn. These are Ivy League schools we're talking about. Share with us a little bit about your own journey, your own personal growing up.
Okay.
Because you hail from
I hail
Cleveland?
from Cleveland, Ohio.
I tell you, I've got great researchers.
Born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio.
All right, Cleveland.
And you know, I am the product of a single-headed household.
Okay.
So I immediately rebuke the notion that children who are raised in a single-headed household are operating from a disadvantage.
All right.
I was the youngest of four.
Uh-huh.
And every one of my brothers, including myself, graduated from schools. My oldest graduated.
Excuse me. Woo woo! Giving it up for Mama. Hello.
That's right.
All right.
That's right.
Go ahead.
And she did it by herself. And we went to schools. We went to Harvard. We went to Howard.
All right.
We went to UPenn. We were at Antioch. We were at Case Western Reserve.
Yes.
So every one of us had at a very minimum a master's degree. So for me, the notion that it's often perpetuated, that is instilled on the students that we're servicing, is that you're coming from an environment that disadvantages you and minimizes your ability to excel, is one I don't accept.
All right.
What I accept is that you come to us as you are, willing to work hard and to commit yourself, and we will facilitate that transformative process so that you can compete with anyone, anywhere at the conclusion of your tenure at Nassau. That's a very different philosophical and pedagogical perspective.
Yes.
And it's not one that is necessarily embraced by all, but is the one that will always emanate from my office and from my seat as the head of the institution.
I love it. I love it.
See,
I
believe that success is predicated on the promise that is translated into a reality. So we have to consistently reinforce the promise of success and then push our students to the point that they internalize those notions for themselves. And that, in my opinion, is the beginning of a successful formula.
I wish I had my audience. I wish you were live with me. We'll get to that point, absolutely. You're listening to Sitting with the Sister Minister and our guest, Dr. Kenneth Saunders. And when we come back, beloved, what we are going to do is talk briefly about Nassau County government's role in the community college, in Nassau Community College. And then I'll come back with a wrap up. You're listening again to Sitting with the Sister Minister. Welcome back, beloved, to Sitting with the Sister Minister. I am your host, Seretta McKnight, and of course, we're sitting with Dr. Kenneth Saunders, the acting president of Nassau Community College. And as I promised before we went to break, we are now going to discuss Nassau County government's role in the Nassau Community College process. I do know that they have a role with respect to the Board of Trustees. Is there an appointment?
Well, the county executive is responsible for appointing several of the Board of Trustee members. The governor is responsible for making an appointment, for making several appointments. And then there is a student appointment on the Board of Trustees who is elected every year by election.
So we have the county executive being Mr. Mangano, Ed Mangano. We have the governor of the state of New York, who is, our good friend, Andrew Cuomo, Governor Andrew Cuomo. So you're telling me they make appointments, and then there's a general election for a student
A
representative.
student representative, yes.
Okay, so the vacancy that you spoke of, whose appointment is that?
That is the gubernatorial appointment.
Gubernatorial, that means it belongs to Mr. Cuomo.
Yes, it does.
I see. And has there been any indication that
No,
you
let
know
me
of?
correct that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That vacancy with Mary Adams is really a county appointment. That
I
would
see.
be the responsibility of Ed Mangano.
Not a problem. Not a problem. See, that's what you got to have the ability to do. That in the event you find that you misspoke or you, because listen, you know how I get. I appreciate the fact, my brother, that you stopped and said, no, wait a minute. Let me correct myself. That's a good thing. So it belongs to Mr. Mangano. So I guess I need to be calling your office soon. When is that appointment scheduled to be made? Do you know?
It's my understanding that that appointment is going to be made sometime in September.
In September. So does that mean the Board of Trustees will be voting again shortly thereafter, or?
It is my hopes that that will happen. I do know that the selection process has been extended to consider additional candidates beyond the two finalists
Wait a minute. Well, hold
of
on.
myself.
Hold on, Doc. Hold on. Back up. Roll it back. You said that a little too quickly for me. I don't think I heard you. Say that again.
The
Selection process.
selection process has been extended to broaden the pool of candidates that will be considered, to widen the net that will be cast. Because the board was unable to decide on the two finalists, it was a decision to extend that net, bring in additional candidates, and review all of those individuals with the two of us being included in that group and making a determination at that point.
Let me see if I understand, because you all know I can be a little slow sometimes. You, who are the acting president and has been for the past 3 years, are a finalist in the selection process. There was an initial search. That search was suspended by the Chancellor of the State of New York.
That's correct.
Now, another search had taken place. You were one of 2 finalists. You need 6 out of 10 votes in order to be confirmed
Yes.
by the SUNY board. You received 5 out of the 10. So there were 5 for you who is the sitting acting president and has been for 3 years.
Yes,
I just want to be clear. And you needed a 6th vote.
that is correct.
So now you're telling me that the selection process has now been extended because you only got 5 instead of 6 of the 10.
Yes.
You, who have been the acting president for the past 3 years, with all this tremendous growth that we've been talking about has taken place. You, who are child-centered, to meet a child where they are, to say that every child deserves participation in the transformative process of being prepared and equipped to either go to a 4-year school or to go to a trade or to find themselves and be equipped with the tool. They leave with an associate's at the very least.
Yes.
Are now part of the extended selection process to bring in more candidates for the position that you clearly have been operating in for the past 3 years.
That is correct.
A dead cat on the line. That's what my daddy would say. Dead cat on the line. That to me makes absolutely no sense. It makes no sense because, and again, this is not necessarily for you to comment. This is Seretta talking, beloved. You have a well-qualified well-credentialed, well-qualified African American male in the person of Dr. Kenneth Saunders, who is the acting president of the largest single campus community college in the state of New York. The year is 2015, and we certainly know the attack that men of color, specifically African American males, have been under. Here to my immediate left sits one well-credentialed, well-qualified, has been administering, growing, developing Nassau Community College as the acting president for the past 3 years. And now, when it's time to appoint a permanent president, there is an issue? Okay, Seretta, compose yourself. Beloved, I submit to you that we need to get on the phones, we need to go online, we need to call the county exec's office, call the Board of Trustees of Nassau Community College. As a matter of fact, you know what? I think we're going to try and find out exactly the makeup of the Board of Trustees of Nassau Community College. I am very interested to see the personnel. And I dare anyone to say I'm playing any type of a card. I'm not. I'm speaking truth to power to say that I don't understand why this gentleman to my left, Dr. Saunders, who has been doing a yeoman's job at Nassau Community College, is not confirmed, appointed, recommended by Nassau Community College's Board of Trustees to the State University of New York for permanency in the position of president for a population that they can look at and say, you did it, I can too.
Yes.
For someone who has all the sensitivities that are necessary. And I hear it not just because we have talked to students, and we have talked to faculty and administrators. So I don't understand, Board of Trustees of Nassau Community College, exactly what's going on or what's happening. You know, there are organizations that have been on the front line of issues of injustice across the board. I mean, you have great organizations out there. We have great organizations out there. And I think maybe we probably, well, I want to give you Nassau Community College an opportunity to fix it. The Board of Trustees. I just believe that you know truly that this is the person who should continue to lead such a diverse and dynamic population of student and faculty this century. And I dare say that I pray that it's not an issue of that undercover, subtle. You know, Nassau County was identified as one of the most racist counties in the country. You all know that. We are one of the most segregated counties in the country. And it had that identification. And so racism is real, we know it, but we know that we've made leaps and bounds. And I would choose to rather believe that we will continue to make leaps and bounds, not get embroiled in the politics, but do what's right for our children, for our communities, for our country, and for our world.
Absolutely.
Because the dialogue we've just had, you've incorporated how Nassau Community is not just a local school or a state school, it is global.
Yes. Yes,
And that's
it
all.
is.
Let me ask you something. I'll come back to the other. I know I went off a little bit, but it's okay. Who was your predecessor?
My predecessor was Donald A. Strabb.
Now, his tenure was what, 10 years? 5?
18 months.
18 months, okay. I rest my case. Dr. Kenneth Saunders, we thank you for coming and sharing with us on today. We are going to certainly keep an eye out on this process, and we are going to do further investigation because this issue came up on my radio broadcast. We're on hiatus now, but it came up repeatedly. And so now I'm glad that we have had the opportunity to sit with you, to hear from you, and for me to interject my opinion and thoughts based on the facts that we need to get this one right. Thank you so much for joining us, beloved.
Thank you. It's
we
my pleasure.
appreciate you. Okay. That ends this edition of Sitting with the Sister Minister. Listen, we'll be right back, if you will, with a cooking segment. No, don't put that on. That ends this edition of Sitting with the Sister Minister. I am your host, Seretta McKnight, and I say thank you so much for watching, because we believe an informed community is an empowered community, motivated to improve humankind. We're here to help you make the connection and connect the dots. Until next time, peace!
That was wonderful.
Thank you.